Looks like we're ready to start. Dave?
Hang on one sec. He'll give us something in the chat when he's got it.
Okay.
Okay, we are good, Marce.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Buenas tardes. Ready to call to order. April 11, 2022, Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meeting is called to order at 5:30. Roll call on board members. Mark?
Yeah, I'm here.
Kate is absent today. Brad?
Yes.
Valerie?
Here.
Sonia?
She was not able to attend tonight.
Okay, and I'm here. The school board will hear public comment for unscheduled public appearance received through the designated form on the district website. Patrons who want to comment live via Zoom should have already registered as participants, completed the form to provide their information, and indicated they were going to provide a live comment. If you are providing your comment live as a Zoom participant, please be sure you provide your full name. It's displayed in your Zoom profile. You can change that by clicking on the participants button. Hover over your ID, click rename, and type in the correct information, and then select OK. Comments will be read by district staff or delivered live via Zoom at the appropriate time on the agenda and will be limited to 3 minutes. This time we're going to do the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag to the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time we'd like to have our audience and staff be introduced.
John O'Neill, Assistant Superintendent.
Eileen Clute, Business.
Kevin Noreen, Director of Human Resources.
And Share, Director of Student Services.
David Warner, Communications.
Allison Samuel, Secondary Math Facilitator.
Wonderful. Looks like we have everybody. Welcome again to our district meeting. Do we have an approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll up call. Mark?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Valerie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Do we have any correspondence or celebrations updates, Dave?
No, I'm going to do a little bit of that in my comments.
Okay, and we have no student report this evening, correct?
Yes.
Any calendar notes?
No, I'll go through that again. I guess we're back to my comments, so I'll just get started.
Yeah, I think so.
COVID, wanted to start out, we're seeing a slight increase in cases. We've been down around 0 and 2 students. We're up to about 7 students, and we've still got 2 staff members. In Washington County, it's just a slight increase. This is actually something that they've talked about that we're kind of expecting. I don't really see at this point any change that we need to make. We just need to be aware. I think we're going to continue to see some things move up, but we really don't think this is going to be another surge. So that's kind of where we're at COVID wise. We're continuing, we've moved Create has disbanded, and we've moved those students to the district office. We're continuing to see more and more students come every day, seeing the program expand. David Regal and Francisco Cervantes Gutierrez are the 2 folks working with the students there. So I'm going to talk a little bit later about where we see this thing going, but just wanted to give you an update on kind of where we're at with those students. This week, we made a change in the principals of several schools. We ran a process, and in that process, the Harvey Clark hiring committee decided that they did not really find the next principal in that group of candidates. And that's when I began to look internally for who we had. And we ended up moving Troy Fisher to Harvey Clark and Mariella to Joseph Gale. I think this best aligns our principal skills with kind of what the district needs. We've already opened up the Dilley principalship, and I'm confident that we're going to find an excellent candidate. I've already had a couple of phone calls from folks outside the district about this position. So I think it's going to be a better competition, but we'll wait and see. We'll be headed out in a couple of weeks to meet with the Dilley staff to kind of talk through what they're looking for, that kind of thing. Mamma Mia, the play ran for its second weekend last weekend, and my wife and I had a wonderful time on Friday night seeing the play. It was a little bit cold. They kind of had some staff involved with the play. On my night, it was Colleen Lords who was up on stage singing Mamma Mia. So it was a fun night. I just really appreciated the work that the students and staff did to get this first musical in several years out. The music, the singing, the stage, everything was just really done with some joy and some passion. So wonderful job done by everyone. It was a great event. Lastly, just wanted to kind of talk about this and just make sure that people are aware. A couple of weeks ago, we sent out information about recent teenage opioid deaths. In 2019, our district updated our approved medication policy to include the medication Naloxone or any similar medication like this. Narcan is another name for that. We have, this is, it's a safe administration that is designed to rapidly reverse an overdose of an opioid drug, with fentanyl being now kind of oxycodone and other oxy products are being basically, they're making fake pills out of fentanyl, and kids are taking them, and it's they don't know what they're taking, and before they know what's happening, they're in a life risking situation. This drug, when administered, it's basically a nasal spray. It rapidly changes anyone experiencing an overdose. If the nasal spray is administered to someone who is not experiencing an overdose, it is also not harmful, which is why this is an important piece. We have doses now at Tomahawk, 2 doses at Tomahawk, 2 doses at Neil Armstrong, and then 2 doses at the high school. We just want to make sure that if there was a situation that we could react quickly to it. We have folks in the building who are trained. We'll continue to be talking about this as this has become a challenging issue for our area. So with that, I would just say if you have any questions about any of those things, but really Narcan, I can answer those, and otherwise I'll turn it back over to Narce. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions? No? Okay. Kathy, do we have any public appearance on schedule or schedule?
We have one. I think David's going to be reading
Yeah,
that.
we have, one, and David's going to read it.
Yep, I will read it. Here we go. Give me 1 second.
Kathy, do I need to read the all the narrative about the board?
No, you
no.
already read it once, and since nobody's going to give it by Zoom, we're good. But
Okay,
thanks for checking.
Okay, this is from Brandon Yon. As a parent, I write this comment in frustration with Forest Grove High School and administration. COVID has, for the most part, subsided, and our teens/kids are just back to normal life. We have all been waiting for this time to come in endless anticipation. For our senior students, this time couldn't have come sooner. As for graduating seniors, why has our administration not planned for a senior graduation party for our tired young adults? Why are teachers asking parents to help plan or facilitate a graduation night/party for them? This traditionally is planned and funded by our school district. Our seniors need to be recognized for the hard work they have put in over the past 4 years. This should be a fun, safe night for them to be recognized, and for our seniors who have had some of the roughest conditions in education history, to recognize their ability to adapt to change and still accomplish so many goals. Why can't you put in the effort, funding, and plan this event? Put our tax money forward and award our seniors with a safe, fun night in 2022. Cheers. Respectfully, parent.
So the what I would say there is that actually the school district has never planned a graduation party. That is always planned by the parents. I'm sure with the pandemic and the rest of these things, I don't know if they've had a group. So I will check in with Karen and just find out where the parent group is on this. But the school district has never paid any money or done any organization around grad parties. So we will, but I still, we're coming off of this pandemic, and I understand that we may be, it may not be organized. So let me check in with Karen, and I'll find out, get some more information on how we might be able to assist, at least get parents organized. I don't know what's possible, but I'll check.
Thank you, Dave. I recall that also from having two daughters who graduated from Forest Grove High School, that the parents, we were part of planning that, but perhaps maybe the parents of this senior years didn't know. I don't know, but thanks for checking. And thank you for the parent who submitted that concern. Next is the consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted under one motion. Are there any items within the consent items a board member or the superintendent wishes to discuss separately? No, okay. Kathy, at this point, do I move to roll call vote for the board minutes of March 28th?
Need a
Why
motion.
don't
You need a motion and a second, and then
I
you
move-
can vote.
I'll make a motion. I move that we adopt the board minutes of March 28th, 2022.
Are we
And
doing the minutes, or are we doing the consent agenda? Actually,
The
would make a
consent
motion
agenda.
that we
Consent,
approve
right.
the consent agenda.
Consent, right, second.
Okay, so let's do a roll call. Mark,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Val,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Thank you all for being patient with me. Second time. I have here number 2 bullet, personnel.
That's actually covered with the consent agenda, so you're good,
Okay.
Narcy.
Yeah.
So we're all good there.
Yeah.
So I can move into the 550 presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Dr. Parker. Oh, I know you don't like me to call you Dr. Parker, but I am anyway. So alternative education.
Perfect. Tonight, I just wanted to kind of update folks on where we're at with alternative programs and kind of what the thinking is and kind of where we're headed with it, and just take any questions. Wanted to start with kind of our current situation. Our current alt program is housed at Taylor Way. This picture here that you're looking at right now is one of the classrooms that's sitting in the building. We've got about 67 students who are currently at Calc. There's 3 teaching spaces right now. We have 3 FTE that are associated with that program. We've got 23 students that are now associated with what was the former CREATE program that are now down in working at the district office. And we have 71 high school online students who are also doing some alternative kinds of work here. This program is under-resourced, and under-resourced in the fact that it's probably earlier this year, the number of students who could utilize the program, it was probably funded at the current, the FTE per student, but because of we can't, with just 3 FTE, we can't feel the whole program. We're also not able to attract kids who would benefit from an alternative experience. About a week and a half ago, I took a set of our administrators over to go visit. Hang on. Catalyst program, the Catalyst program in the Newburgh School District. It has a really similar kind of experiences as what we've gone through. As I came into Newburgh, probably 2012, they had passed a bond for a new alt school, and their alt students, they probably had 24-ish or so students. They were in a double wide trailer, and it wasn't a great experience. And Newburgh passed this bond. They built the Springbrook Center, which houses this. There were 7 classrooms in this building. They run 5 and probably more because they create a lot of original programming, but they basically have kind of 5 programs that they're running out of this now. The first one is what they call Real World, which is in-person alternative instruction, where kids are coming, teachers are teaching language arts and math and science in different ways. They do a lot of hands-on kind of project-based learning kinds of experiences. And so they have this one program that kind of runs 9 to 3 in-person alternative. Then they also have an extensions program, which is in-person kind of digital curriculum. A lot of times these are kids who are coming out of discipline experiences at at the high school. They may be coming out just because they have work conflicts, which is they need to work. And so they need a different way of getting their credits. There's a lot of times kids are moving into what they call the real world. They also have an online digital curriculum. The extensions program is in-person digital. Then they also offer online digital curriculum. They also created a new program that has a success coach where one of their staff members meets individually with students to actually kind of help not only proctor, but also remove barriers for kids who are struggling in any one of their other programs. And then they started up a last program called Student-Centered Achievement, which is actually even kind of a more hand-created programs for kids. Lots of interactions with parents, and sometimes kids are doing some of the classes at high school and some there. So they have a really broad kind of sets of layers of supports. They're currently at about 145 students. They also run their regular online school out of there. I didn't really include any of those students in it. But this, I thought, was a pretty good model for some of the things that we're trying to get towards. The initial vision I think we have of kind of where we want to go would be to bring our calc students and then take the create students, take the secondary online students, and kind of bring them all together so we have enough enrollment to really put together the staffing to make the program go. If we did that, we'd have right somewhere around 161. I'm not sure all of the high school online students would transfer. Some of them would prefer to stay at the high school. But to do this, we're going to have to hire some more staff. And even more importantly, we're going to have to redo this space a little bit. Again, I'm anxious to find a better space for them long-term. But no matter what happens with that, they're going to need something now. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at kind of the second floor that I should say in this picture, that whole second floor of windows, that's an empty space on the second floor. What we need to do is provide an elevator, handicapped access to that second floor, and then we could basically build that out. And so we've begun to kind of do some initial plans of what it would look like to build out that second floor space. This would add 4 classrooms. Currently, like I said, there's kind of one large classroom space and then a smaller space downstairs, and then a really narrow space, the one that you saw in the picture. This would open this up to give us, to start with, next September, this would open us up to 4 more classrooms. It creates a common space, which is also one of the problems that we have at Taylor Way right now is the hallways are so narrow that it's hard to, there's no real space for kids to move between classrooms. And then there's no space to kind of find to hang out a little bit. And so by just building out that second floor initially, this is going to give us an opportunity to really kind of expand into that school. There's also a plan for the first floor. It involves a little bit of wall work, but mostly it keeps things fairly similar. Again, it creates a lobby for when you walk into it, there's an open space. It creates a couple of offices for a principal and a secretary. There's some space here for a conference room. And again, it's 4 classrooms that this would end up with. So we would end up with 8 classrooms in this space. Long term, if we're able to move to a better space, we can utilize this all as professional development and kind of department space. So long term, it's still a good move for us. But this is really going to have a huge impact on what we may be able to do with this alt school as early as next September. So our next steps, kind of just so that you know where we're headed, we need to hire a principal for this space and someone who can begin to work with folks around what the mission and vision is. We want to rework that space, 8 classrooms in the final plan, a larger hall for student movement, a small common space to allow students to gather, a conference room, office spaces. We need to add additional staff. We've got 3 there. We're bringing over some staff from Create. So we're basically, by doing all of that, we're pretty close. I think we're adding, I can't remember I don't want to quote the exact FTE, but there's a small amount of FTE we're bringing over to put this all together. But basically, we'll have the second floor ready at the beginning of the year. And then the next thing, once I get this principal on board, is basically to have him begin to meet with principals and staff to kind of come together. What is the mission and vision of this program? What does it look like? I think we have some good models right next door that we can go grab, but that's kind of what the plan is. And moving forward, questions kind of about where we want to head with the alt school.
So
Mark,
Well,
you're on-
can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. So so in terms of the plan for the building looks to me like a good plan. In terms of the principal, so Dave, that'll be a principal for the alt school, which is 160 students and may grow to more. Are there going to have other duties other than running that school? And do you know more about that assignment, Dave?
Yeah, what I would tell you is, there's probably some more duties, but actually what we did last time, what I did in Newburgh, is when we hired in that principal is actually responsible for a lot of the recapture of students who had left the system. And so there's a lot more outreach there. We have 75 kids who from freshman to the senior year, just year in and year out, there's like 75 kids who kind of leave. What my last principal who did this is he started, and that student success coach that I talked about, they basically work together to go call those parents and those kids and say, hey, you've got 2.5 credits left. Let's get you back into school. And here's a program. So we're going to put you on the online from home, or no, we're going to put you come into school at this time. Sometimes those kids are coming like 9 to noon. Sometimes they're coming 3 to 5. So they work some different time periods. But actually, I think, I don't think this person will be bored. I think they will be very busy in that recapture effort. Now, if that isn't true, the other thing that this is there's a lot of coordination between the high school and this alt school. So there's also, he'll still be kind of working in tandem with the high school around kids transitioning in and out.
Okay. I guess one of the things I would just say is, you know, you're probably going to look around for a job description for this position. There might be one that exists out there, and fine tune it for us. For me, I'd just like to see it, you know, at some point.
Yep.
Just to see what it entails, and you know, how many day contract and that kind of stuff. So
I will, we'll do that.
yeah.
I think we have an initial job description,
Okay.
and we set an initial number of days. I'm not sure it's low. I'm not sure it's the right number yet, but we figured we'll get into this and then kind of deal with the kind of the number of days question, because that's one that we're still having too.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Dave,
Yeah.
do you know the number of the online students that are currently at the high school that you feel will be moving over to that Taylor Way?
So we started with about 100 and some odd students in the high school online. We're at 71 right now. We're right in the middle of kind of doing some surveying around that, but I don't yet kind of know whether it's going to be 90% or whether it's going to be, you know, I don't have a good feeling for where that's at yet, but that's information we're trying to figure out.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a budget for the work in the upstairs second floor?
Yes. Eileen, I don't know if
I can ask Eileen later if we don't know.
We do have $500,000 set aside out of remaining SIA carryover funds. So it'd be a one-time carryover that we'd be utilizing those for this summer.
Thanks.
And then just the other, maybe to kind of piggyback on that, Dave. So the process from here, you've laid out sort of what you want to do. What comes before the board before you move on this, Dave? Is this it for an action item, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're moving on it right now.
Okay.
The parts here, I mean, there's so much left to be created.
Okay.
So like there's a lot more opportunities for us to talk about what we want this program to look like.
Okay.
But we're often moving on kind of getting the pieces into place so that we can do this.
Okay. So the budget for the renovating the building is already approved. I mean, it's ready to go. It's okay.
Yeah. Again, in construction, we've laid out the budget. I think our issue is going to be around trying to maintain the costs.
Right. Okay.
We're looking at again, working with Mark right now to kind of lay out exactly what we need to do. The elevator was a big part of it. The bathroom was actually already in place on that second floor. So really it's the walls going up that we're going to need to do is going to be most of the work.
Okay.
Yep.
And it'll be ready to go in the fall.
The second floor part is what we're trying to get ready for the fall.
Okay.
There's still a lot of program creation to do.
Okay.
But that's why, for me, getting this principal on board and then getting this thing rolling, because the summer is a great time for us to kind of get organized for it.
Okay. And you're going to post that soon?
It's
then?
Posted. We're interviewing.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Later this week, we'll have kind of this first look at who's putting their name out there.
Okay. All right.
So Dave will probably have more information as this continues to develop, correct?
Absolutely. A lot to kind of figure out still.
Okay. And I had a question about the elevator, but you already answered that because those are pretty expensive.
Yeah, I think, again, this is not going to be the 9-person elevator that you might see in some of our other schools. But Mark has kind of sketched out one that would meet the ADA compliance and would get students who need access to the second floor, would get them that access.
Okay. Any more questions? Anybody else? No? Thank you, Dave. I know this has been a lot of work, in particular with the closing of CREATE, and I'm very pleased and proud of Forest Grove School District stepping up to try to bring some parity for these kids, for our students. So thank you. Next, we have math instruction materials purchased by John O'Neill.
Thank you. Yes, good evening. And I will go ahead and share my screen real quick. So tonight I'm joined by Allison Samuel, our district math facilitator, and she's with us here this evening to help present and answer any questions that we may have. So background information, tonight we're coming to you with a first read regarding the purchase of an extension of our current math adoption. Our district math adoption committee unanimously recommended the adoption of HMH Go Math AGA for grades K-12 in 2016. And AGA stands for Algebra, Geometry, and Algebra 2. The initial HMH Go Math K-8 and AGA 9-12 6-year subscription ends July 1. Other districts using HMH math materials include Lake Oswego, Reynolds, Woodburn, Lincoln County, and then partial adoptions include Oregon City, Portland Public, Gresham Barlow, Medford, Arcadia Elementary, Sage Community School, and Tiger Tualatin. So why not pursue a new adoption? So ODE pushed back the instructional materials review and adoption process for mathematics due to the pandemic. ODE will begin a new instructional materials process during the 22-23 school year.
So our district math facilitators, which is myself and Brenda Lindsay, have submitted our applications to participate in the state review and approval process for materials. And we are planning to follow the state adoption cycle, as we believe this will get us the best curriculum possible in the correct time frame. Our K-6 system is going to be learning and implementing a new literacy curriculum starting next year. Currently, our system, which is our students, teachers, parents, and instructional staff, are familiar with our current Go Math AGA curriculum format and resources. And our K-8 system uses interactive Avid Notes, which our district has created to align with the Go Math curriculum as an additional scaffolding support for all students. Our 9-12 system will be creating new instructional materials to support the new high school math courses next year, which were GDS Geometry, GDS Data Science, and Data Science, which the board recently approved. And these new courses are aligned with the new math standards for the state of Oregon. The development of the new high school courses will also inform the needs for middle school math adoption, particularly in the area of data science. So our timeline, so next year, the 22-23 school year, K-6 is going to be going through a lit adoption, and 9-12 is going to be doing all of the new courses at the high school. And so we're looking at starting the new math adoption process the following year, which would be the 2023-24 school year. So grades K through 12 would be in the adoption process in the 2023-24 school year, with full implementation for grades 7-12 the fall of 2024. Because the K-6 are in the middle of a lit adoption and there are a lot of Avid materials that need to be created for any sort of new math curriculum, 24-25 would be a partial implementation for them as they continue piloting and creating Avid resources, with a full implementation in the fall of 2025. So the quotes that we received from the publisher to extend our current adoption until we can go through this new adoption cycle are listed here. So if we go with a 2-year K-12, right now, instead of paying 1 year at a time, if we buy 2 years now, it saves almost $54,500. And then the 3rd year for K-6, which just buys them that additional buffer year as they are continuing to create new Avid materials, costs an additional $27,000 for them to have that 3rd year buffer. So in that 3rd year, we would be paying for the new adoption, and we would have a new adoption K-12. And we'd pay that $27,000 so that we could continue to have the old curriculum materials K6 as they are continuing to make that transition. And so now we just have time for any questions that you might have.
And again, this is a first reading to entertain any questions that you might have. And we will bring it back for action items at an upcoming board meeting.
So my question is, well, two questions. Can you send me that presentation? Because it goes pretty quick and I'm slow at processing. So I like to actually sit down and look at it and think through my mind those years as you were rattling them off. Yeah. And then the other question is, how soon does this decision, I know it's up for an action item. Typically we do at the next board meeting. Is there a time sensitiveness to this issue?
Yep, the current adoption expires June 30th.
Right.
And so we have to have it processed and paid for before then so that we can continue it, particularly because we're using it in summer school and we'll be in the middle of summer school when that deadline hits.
Okay. Okay. So would it be, I mean, it could be at the first May meeting if we needed to, correct? That'd be fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll send that presentation to all board members.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Yes.
I guess this is a question, John. What have you budgeted for the adoption process? What's in your budget?
Well, what we've done is we've taken a look at we've bounced it around between general fund as well as service credits. But Eileen, I'm not sure exactly where we identified the final funding source.
For this purchase, it would be general fund and it would be in next year's budget. So it'd be a prepaid this year and we'd build it into the budget process for next year.
Thank you. Thanks, Eileen.
Any more questions? Thank you, John. O'Neill.
I had one more question. I'm sorry, Narcy.
That's all right.
Is there, John, I was just curious, I think 16 is when this was adopted. Have you surveyed math teachers to see how they feel about this curriculum?
That's a great question.
Okay.
We haven't formally surveyed because we wanted to keep surveys down this year with everything else going on. But Mark, there's two situations. One, we've discussed this extensively in elementary principals primarily and secondary principals, and they're unanimous. This would give them the necessary time they believe for the lit adoption. And then in the lit adoption committee, I shared that with the entire lit adoption committee when we met in person and explained we would try and get as much time as possible. And they were very appreciative of that. But district-wide, we have not done a survey, but we can absolutely send one out if that's.
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, we hear from you and Allison, and it's nice to see what the teachers, are saying candidly about the curriculum. Some math teachers have been at it for a long time, some are new at it, and so they're all over the board. And I'm just curious what their genuine feeling is about this curriculum. That's all. So.
Well, I think that would definitely be part of the adoption process. Once we start that process, we would for sure want that input from all teachers, since all teachers can't sit on the adoption committee.
Right. But I guess finding out how they like what they're doing now.
Yep. Yeah, that's what Allison was meaning by that.
Got it.
As we start into this, we're going to have to bring folks together, and we're going to have to do a little bit of work to say how are people feeling about what we're doing now, and what does this next thing look like, and what would you recommend, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. I've been in my teaching experience in admin those that have been doing it for a while have strong opinions one way or another, and sometimes they're right on with what they say, and it might be this is great, or it might be this isn't very good.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying.
That's a great question, Mark. it sounds like there's going to be a lot of engaging with the teachers, right? Okay, anybody else? Okay, thank you again, John and Allison, for presenting this to us. I assume this will come as a budget approval at a later time in May? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I would say as you're thinking and going over this, get John any questions you have, and then we can figure out what the timing is. Let's talk about when you want to see this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Future board items for discussion. Do any board members have anything to share or add to the current list of future items? No. Okay. Information, enrollment reports or financial reports. Do we have any? Is that Eileen?
It's in your packet. So again, just go through and review the enrollment reports, and Eileen threw in information about financials.
Okay. So without further ado, it's about 6:15.
So there's a piece you want to read there, Narce.
Yes, the adjourning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to go there. So there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 6:12 p.m. to executive session to discuss matters under the authority of Oregon Revised Statute, Oregon 192.660, 1 and 192.660, evaluation of superintendent. So we are going to move to executive session that will have a different Zoom link. The executive session for the
That's for the next. That's for the next one.
Okay, so I don't need to read that right now.
You're good now.
I am good. Okay, all right. So meeting adjourned. Let's all
Board
get
members, you
out.
have a separate link for the executive session.
And is that at 6:30 then?
Yes, at 6:30. Yaha will join us at
Okay,
6:30.
got it.
So you have a few minutes to have a break.
Does everybody have that link? Is the question.
Yeah, it should be in your calendar.
I don't know, but I'll look in my calendar.
I can try. I'll send it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you all at 6:30. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.